Hey guys, Kenny here. I'm here to review the 2007 superhero action thriller Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3. Um, it's enjoyable. There are enjoyable moments in it. The action is incredible in this movie, but the problem is it's too and far between. So when you really think about it, there's probably just 2, 3, or 4 action sequences, and then the rest of it is bogged down with mundane scenes like Peter crying, which makes sense. The things that are happening to him in this is quite sad, but he's been crying too much and not doing very much as Spider-Man himself. Thinking about it, I think this movie had more Peter Parker than it did Spider-Man. And Topher Grace, he, in my opinion, he was severely miscast. Not a bad actor. I really did enjoy him in that 70s show. In Good Company, a movie, a legal comedy, romantic comedy with that also had Topher Grace, Dennis Quaid, and Scarlett Johansson. I think that was in 2004. He is a sufficient actor. I also liked him in this year's earlier movie, Predators. A lot of people don't really like that one. So he is, in my opinion, a sufficient actor. He's not terrible. When he can, like in Good Company, he can pull off a very good part in acting. But he was severely miscast in this, and it felt like he was just going through the motions. And he was really too cocky as Eddie Brock. And from what I recall, I don't really think Eddie Brock was cocky. He didn't need to be. The original character, he was a large young man, quite built, from what I remember. So he didn't need to be cocky. But I think he was cocky as well. But in this, he was way too cocky for his own good, and it ended up costing him dearly. Like in the middle of somewhere around to maybe the middle of the movie. When Peter Parker interferes with his own personal life, and then that makes Eddie vengeful and hateful against Peter. We see where that goes, obviously. James Franco, he still was quite good. I really did like him in this, and in a way, I think he did his best acting in this movie than he did in the other two. But people may argue. I thought he did his best acting in this than in the other two. We certainly see more of him in this than in the other two. So my nose is stuffed up. I just got done eating some spicy food. But I think he was, in a way, the best part of this. But the new Green Goblin, the way they made it, to me, hokey and phony. Yeah, it's like they didn't make him look anything remotely like the actual original Goblin. Not really particularly the first movie, but how many people remember the original Green Goblin. It made sense. I loved it that he had like this surfboard as his Goblin glider. That I liked, but the helmet, the way it went off, and it was like a looked like it was like someone who is a surfer, and I'm like, what is that? It's nowhere near water, so what's the point of that? And Kirsten Dunst. I think this was the worst I've ever seen Kirsten act. And really, she's not seen, and when she's really not seen very much in this, in a way. But she was also too whiny, and she was more crabby in this than in the other two. I guess it makes sense because of what's been happening in her life up to this point in this movie. But at least she could have put a little more effort in being a sweet Mary Jane Watson instead of what she ended up becoming in this. Thomas Hayden Church, he was another great person to pick as Sandman. Flint Marko. I almost forgot his name, but he was a really good actor to choose for that part. But the way it was written, it didn't put Thomas's acting abilities to the test. It didn't show them in full form. It was like a half good and half bad. I love Thomas Hayden. I love watching him. I remember seeing him in Sideways, I know he was in the first Georgia the Jungle, the live action movie. I don't know if he was in the second. So Sideways and Smart People. He's an actor I've loved watching through big time through the years, but it was it was still to this day it feels like that character was not the right fit for him. He said he pursued that character, but it's really still to this day, in my opinion, it wasn't the right fit for him. He does have some really good scenes in this, really good acting scenes in this, don't get me wrong. Like when he first sees his daughter before the accident happens to him becoming Sandman, and then the very end when he's talking to Spider-Man after their big battle between Sandman and Venom. That shows he's a very good actor, but this part wasn't the right fit for him. And Venom. That wasn't needed. I didn't mind the when the symbiote was tormenting Peter. That was pretty good, but it made Peter become emo. So that wasn't necessary. But I guess it made sense for the story for Peter to really kind of fight his inner self and try and come out being a better person. But it wasn't necessary, especially how Venom was portrayed at the end when it attached itself to Eddie. The way Venom was portrayed in this, in the very last scene, it was like a hack job, and it was like a joke. Looked great, but the way it was written and portrayed, it was like a joke. It didn't need to be there. Those are some bad things about it that I can think of. And the dancing Peter Parker, those could have been done away with, really. And then I don't know why the filmmakers had to change it from being one particular person that killed Peter's uncle in the first Spider-Man to someone completely different in this one. It kind of makes sense, but why suddenly in this movie do it? They could have mentioned that in the second, but okay. Bryce Dallas Howard as I can't remember her name, but she was good in this. She was really a character who wasn't needed, but I liked her in this. She did a pretty good job. But that love triangle, and it was more of there's two love triangles in this when you really think about it. The one between Mary, Peter, Gwen Stacy, that's her name. That wasn't necessary. Man, it's tough enough trying to go through one love triangle. We didn't need a second. So that could have been done away with. And the way the symbiote was used, that was stupid. It didn't shoot down from outer space. If we know from the Spider-Man cartoon, it was Jonah Jameson's son is an astronaut, and he was in the space shuttle, and then the symbiote attached itself to the shuttle, and then the shuttle crash landed. And then that's when Peter tried to save the astronaut, and then the symbiote connected to him, attached itself to him. So overall, Spider-Man 3, there are some good things in it, like the action, even the special effects are good, but it was just bogged down by so many things that weren't needed. And what else? That locket thing that Sandman Flint Marco kept carrying around, we didn't need to see that over and over. So I think that's all I have to say on this one. It's a good movie, but it was just, I don't know, mediocre, so stay cool and roll out to the movies.